The following special report documents evidence in a Florida case of collusion, cover-up, and bad government, exposing misconduct in the Orange County Public Works Department and profoundly irresponsible management under 4 different county attorneys, damaging a local community and costing Florida taxpayers millions of dollars. This aerial over the affected area shows key players. The Bowers home, main plaintiff in the case, still suffers from polluted water exposure, both on his property and into Lake Ola, which is otherwise known to local residents for its pristine water quality. Near Bowers, you can see the Holmstrom property on Lake Ola Drive and neighboring homes on Lake Ola Circle, all of which suffered county-induced flooding. And to the west, on both the north and south side of Lake Ola Drive, the Cooper property, a property owner with county influence that evidence suggests the county exceeded its responsibilities to divert the polluted water away from, leading to flooding and contamination of the Bowers property and the lake. Up until 2008, residents reported no flood incidents in the area until clear-cutting on the Cooper property, visible in these aerials from 2002 to 2010, eroded the landscape's natural barriers. During this period, the Holmstrom property owner provided court testimony of over 100 truckloads of unpermitted fill placed on the Cooper development, resulting in notable new runoff. There is also evidence, revealed in depositions, that the development team on the Cooper property bermed a drainage pipe, flooding the area.
Documents showed that the property owner had quite a bit of influence in the county planner's office. The cause of the flooding was obvious to the community and described in depositions, but ignored by Orange County until 2016 when the county fixed the Cooper drain.
After the first major flood reported in 2008, the developer was the second documented complaint in the county, preceded by a local homeowner with water in his home. Construction records show the county intervened, preparing to widen the ditch along the developed Cooper property and build a 407-foot diversion pipe to move the water from west to east along Lake Ola Drive, where they planned to connect it to an outfall they believed they had leading from Lake Ola Circle through Bowers property. In September of 2009, Bowers received an easement request from the county, which he suspected might be to divert runoff from the Cooper flooding. But when questioned, the county stated in writing that any new development that would increase the runoff to his property would be illegal. A month before the official date the county gave Bowers to respond, county crews began construction on their diversion plan, planning to use prescriptive easement against Bowers if he would not cooperate. When the 407-foot diversion pipe was installed, the properties to the east along Lake Ola Circle were then flooded, with the exception of Bowers. At this point, the county discovered that there, in fact, was no outfall beyond Lake Ola Circle to Bowers. The county failed to research their own canal records that described no pipe connection to the supposed outfall they thought they had. With multiple homes affected in the community, the county then installed a 15-inch pipe to drain the flooded area into Lake Ola, across the Bowers property, with no easement and no structure to channel the water. When Bowers complained, the county then performed a midnight survey that suggested his property lines were west of the drainage and would therefore not require an easement. Bowers filed a complaint and began an investigation into how the county could claim an existing drainage system through his property where none had existed before. The midnight survey was resolved by the court, but the county refused to proclaim eminent domain, forcing Bowers to file for inverse condemnation that took 10 years to settle, all because of a plot to divert floodwater to his property. Noting an increase in invasive plants along the lakefront, the Bowers team contracted 2 independent labs to take samples of the flooded area, finding evidence of nitrogen and phosphorus contamination, typical of water polluted with fertilizer. The water samples were also traced back to unpermitted fill on the developed property north of Lake Ola Drive. With multiple complaints from Bowers to DEP and St. John's, St. John's officials claimed they did not have the resources for water testing, and with no provision for pollution abatement, the water has been allowed to contaminate Lake Ola and the Bowers property. As Bowers pursued legal action, it was revealed the county conducted their diversion projects with no plans and no permits, based on a theory that there was an existing drainage swale along Lake Ola Drive that moved water from west to east and an existing outfall to the Bowers property, neither of which actually existed. Bowers presented evidence in these photographs from 2008 showing that the 407-foot diversion never existed. Topographical evidence shows how the floodwater stops at the Holstrom property with a natural rise in the land. The county spent several $100,000 to hire a supposed LiDAR expert who used false data to claim an existing ditch along Lake Ola Drive to the east of the Holstrom property. After discovery that the data points the expert used for the supposed ditch, some of which were 109 feet away from each other, and one of which was actually a documented dirt pile, the expert's testimony was found to be a gross misrepresentation of the facts, and the court rejected his claims and bad science. In trial, the court concluded no evidence of any water flow from west to east along Lake Ola Drive, and no evidence of any connection or water flow of any kind from the supposed outfall on Lake Ola Circle to Bowers. Over the last decade, the county's actions amounted to over $1 million in legal fees for the Bowers team to just settle the inverse condemnation, and much of this expense will go to the taxpayer. The most revealing part of this case is that despite the extent of the county work to divert the water away from the Cooper property, the court acknowledged the Cooper drain that was blocked in 2008. No evidence was disclosed that the county made any attempt to unblock the drain. Under oath, county officials stated that they never approached the developer for an easement that the drain served since 1940. They only approached Bowers and his neighbor, who was also flooded. The county had clear rights for prescriptive easement, but did not even try, believing they had an alternate outfall, and that if Bowers objected, they would enforce prescription on him. Had they only reviewed their own canal records, property rights would have prevailed, and the taxpayer would not have endured such gross mismanagement. Despite a Bowers win in court for inverse condemnation over burden of an easement, establishing that every defense the county claimed was false, Orange County attorneys followed by taking the case to the St. Johns River Water Management District and made the exact same claims previously rejected in court. The county applied to St. Johns for a permit on the Bowers property to replace portions of a swale with an 18-inch concrete pipe, and claimed the pollution in the water was from erosion from the Bowers swale and that the water quality would be improved by eliminating the erosion. Countless laws address increasing water flow rates post-development, but the county, using the same LiDAR expert, devised false data, claiming the pre-flow rate to the proposed 18-inch pipe has not been changed since the diversion. If the county is successful at these misrepresented facts and the district chooses to accept those false facts, private property rights as we know them no longer exist. As settlement checks from taxpayer money begin to compensate Bowers, chances are the taxpayers will have something to say. Taxpayer money has been irresponsibly spent, with some of the biggest costs yet to come, and private property owner rights have been trampled. What began as a reckless planning decision to appease a developer turned into a cover-up the county legal team continues to uphold, knowing when and if they eventually lose, the repercussions are high. If reached, the county commissioners can put an end to this calamity.